Hi, can you hear me okay, Michaela?
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, all good. Thank you for
Awesome.
joining today. How are you?
Yeah. Thanks for having me. Good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Um, hi everyone who's joined today. Welcome to Teespring Tips Live. For anyone who hasn't joined before, my name's Lucy and I'm the social media manager for Teespring. And this live stream is basically to help our followers. We cover lots of different topics that we hope they're going to help inspire inspiration, as well as give a bit of an insight into how our creators use the platform successfully. So a big warm welcome to Michaela, who is the creator of Fun Size Style. So if you'd like to introduce yourself, Michaela, and tell us a bit about your channel.
Yeah, so my name's Michaela. I am 21 years old and I have a YouTube channel called Fun Size Style where I talk about makeup and fashion, and I also educate people about my disability. I was born with a physical disability called osteogenesis imperfecta, and it's caused by a defect in collagen, which is the most abundant protein in the human body. So this creates many different underlying health conditions. I'm only 2 feet 7 inches tall, and I've incurred many fractures and surgeries throughout my lifetime. I created my channel to be a voice in the beauty and fashion industry, and also for those with disabilities, because as my channel started to grow, I realized that there was this really large population that viewed my circumstances as really sad, and they felt bad for me because of the things that I go through or the way that I look, and it really opened my eyes to how society views somebody's physical differences and their challenges.
Yeah. We love you over here at Teespring, and we just love like everything that you do on your channel. So
Oh, thank you so
we're so
much.
glad to have you.
That means a lot. Thank you.
No worries. So today we're going to be talking to Michaela about building an online community and how you can find your audience, whatever platform it is. As you know, when creating an online platform such as a YouTube channel, it can be quite difficult to know where to start. Having a passion for the content that you create should always be, you know, at the heart of your channel, of course. But it's also super rewarding to build a community of people who share the love of the content that you create as well. And when it comes to merch, having that strong community, I don't know if you can agree, Michaela, it helps you create meaningful designs that you're
Yeah,
going to love, but also your community resonates with as well.
absolutely. And it's like,
Yeah.
it's exclusive. So, you know, like, who's part of your community, and then those that have it, you know, those around them ask questions about it, and then that also promotes your mission or your brand or whatever you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, definitely. So Michaela's going to give us a little bit of an insight into how she built her channel and her community. So the first thing I'd like to ask you is, when creating your online platform, how do you find your niche?
So when I first started my channel, I mainly started with just makeup and fashion things that I love, and then I kind of branched out into talking more about my disability. When I originally started with makeup, I noticed, because I first started just by watching other makeup influencers, and I realized there was a gap in the industry, and there weren't many young women with physical disabilities putting themselves out there and talking about these things like any other creator. And I knew that there had to be other young women with physical disabilities that were interested in the same things that I was or am, and similar things as well. And so I wanted to be that new face of beauty and really broaden the industry for young women with physical disabilities. But as I mentioned before, I also started to branch out more into the understanding of disability and what it's like to live with a physical disability every day. Because as my audience started growing, I received more questions and comments, and so I also think it's really important when building your niche to really listen to what the audience wants to learn from you. And it's okay to branch out. And I think a lot of creators think that, like, oh, I'm a makeup channel, so I only have to talk about makeup. And what's great about social media is it's your platform. You can make it into whatever you want it to. Back in the day, people had to reach out to television networks and TV shows to have their story and their message be heard. But now there's this thing where we all can have our own, quote, TV show and talk about whatever it is that we're passionate about or want to learn about.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's the beauty of being a creator, is that you can make your platform whatever you choose it to be, and it allows just everyone, everyone from all walks of life to be able to have their voice and get themselves heard and sort of promote more diversity in the media, I think.
Absolutely.
So that's a really good tip. And what advice would you give to someone who's trying to discover their audience, would you say?
Yeah, so this is probably the number one question that I get asked. And I think the biggest thing is know your purpose and what you're trying to do with your platform. Because I have friends and they see the physical benefits that I'm starting to gain from my platform. And they're like, wow, that's so cool that you get free makeup and this and that and get to do these things and go on these trips. And they're like, I want to start a channel like that. Would be so awesome. But then when I ask them like what their message is or like why they want to start a channel, they don't really have a clear response. And so I think realizing that any successful social media influencer has some sort of reason for wanting a community. So for me, that's reaching out to people with disabilities and changing societal perspectives on disability in the entertainment and beauty industry. And to go along with those things, I do get those benefits. But the primary reason as to why I started my channel was for the sense of community and message that I wanted to share with others that I felt was lacking in the world. And also because it's fun. I love talking about makeup and fashion, and social media gives us a platform to share what we love with others and from those all around the world.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a really, really good point. And it's kind of what I said before, is as long as you have a passion for what you're creating content about and you've got that like from within, I think that really shines through, and that's what almost like carries you through the difficult times that you might find with your channel and the good times as well.
Absolutely.
So how did you first get your channel out there? So, how did you promote it, essentially?
So I think with any social media platform, it first started with just friends and family watching, of course. And then I just started like building my platforms. I started making an Instagram and, building my YouTube channel more, posting more, Twitter and Facebook. And I just started posting. And I think people think that YouTube in particular is a get-rich-quick scheme. And it certainly is not. It takes a long, long time to build a community. And I haven't really had like one video that went like quote viral. It's just been a steady growth over time. And so I just started posting more and more, and then after a while I realized this is no longer friends and family watching. And I think it's kind of cliche for creators to say like, oh, I didn't expect to gain an audience like that. And I think for me, having a physical disability and not necessarily knowing how people would respond to the perspective that I had and putting myself out there in the industry, I certainly didn't know what the response would be. And so to see the outpouring of support from my followers and subscribers has been really, really rewarding. And so that's kind of how I've grown my audience and really grown it to what it is now.
Yeah, I think what you said is completely right. It's about one of the main tips that I've heard from creators is like keep consistency with your channel, and if you couple that with the passion that you already have, you're bound to get to where you want to be. And how would you say that creating your strong community has impacted your life?
It's impacted me more than I even ever expected. And like I said, I do it because I love doing it. I love sharing what I love. I love talking about makeup and fashion, and the fact that I'm able to do something that I love full time is really rewarding. But there's messages that I receive daily that I will never forget for the rest of my life. And I never thought by just sharing what I love and the passions that I have and changing societal perspective would have the impact that it has on others to the magnitude that it does. I truly never expected it. And it's very humbling, but also, like, it's challenging because I want so bad to convey how, like, grateful I am for those messages, but sometimes there just are no words to really say. You never know how you're impacting somebody, even if it seems like something small, by sharing what you love in your story. One thing that's huge to me is people say, wow, that's so great that you have this following and that you're making a difference in people's lives. And it is, but the only difference between my story and yours is I just choose to share it. Not everybody chooses to put their life online in some capacity, whatever magnitude they choose to share. But everybody has a story and something that they're passionate about, but I just happen to choose to share it.
Yeah. You're honestly, like, I was like, we could definitely quote like so many of those things that you just said there. How would you say that your community can help inspire your merch designs as well?
So when I first started my channel, I never expected to have merch for sure. And I just started, honestly, like, they just started asking, like, we want something that we can have to, like, represent you and, like, support you. And so I just started kind of coming up with ideas. And my first merch design was I created a professional logo with a friend of mine. And I told her, all that I wanted in it and what I would do with it. And so we worked that out on the side. And then just something, my logo is it's very simple. It doesn't represent disability in makeup or fashion. It's just very simple because I never want my logo to feel like it only represents one aspect of my life. I have many different things that I talk about, and so I wanted it to be very simple. So that was the first way that I created that, just something simple to put my brand and myself out there. And then the second piece that I have is my most recent, and it represents scoliosis. So it's a condition that I have. It's the curvature of the spine. And for most people, it's very mild and it doesn't affect their daily life whatsoever. But for me, I will be having what's called spinal fusion, where they fuse your spine completely so that it doesn't bend anymore or curve anymore. And it's affecting me to the point where I am losing lung capacity. So it's something that I've shared a lot about because, as I mentioned, most people, when they think of it, they think of this small, physical abnormality. But for me, because of my underlying conditions, it's affected me in a much greater magnitude. And so I'm going to be having what's basically going to be like a life preserving surgery the next few months. It was supposed to be, the first part was supposed to be next month, but with what's happening around the world, it's been postponed. And so that's been a huge journey that I've shared with my followers. And so I wanted something to represent something that's going to change my life forever, and something that I've shared so much about. And so the messages that I've received from that has been really, really cool as well.
Yeah, and we've written a blog post about your story as well, which I'll be sure to share afterwards.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, I think that's another like important and great part of having merch is it's a way for your community to be able to support you, especially in your case. And would I be right in saying this is one of the main reasons that you decided to create merch in the first place, for your
Yeah,
community to
definitely.
support you?
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. And what would you say your favorite thing about using Teespring to create your merch is?
I love how easy it is. So for me, I am still a relatively micro influencer, and so I don't have like a team of production or anything like that. But through Teespring, I'm able to just do it easily, and there's so many options and freedom to go along with that. So that's really what's made it possible for me. Is just truly how easy it is, and makes it possible to have something out there for people, for them, and then it's also easy for me.
Yeah, and I think that's I think that one of the last questions that we'd like to ask is what tips would you give to someone who's, maybe they've just started their channel and what's going on right now, like being at home, people have got more time on their hands to get
Yeah.
creative. So what advice would you give to someone who's struggling to grow their audience?
I think now is the perfect time. The perfect time for creators. It really is. And I think because people have this idea that advertisers are struggling and companies are struggling, that it's a bad time for creators. But really, people are at home and they have nothing better to do than consume so much content at home. And so I really don't think there's a better time for creators themselves to really create as much as they can and really devote their time, because I know even for me as a creator and so many people that want to create or are creating, the time, it's very, people think of it as like a quick and easy job, and it's very time consuming. It takes about 6 hours minimum for me to edit a video. And so, but one perk of this quarantine is that I have so much time to create content, and really devote full time into that. And so if content creation has been on your heart and your mind, now is the best time to do that and really decide if it's something that you want to do, because time is an excuse for so many of us, but for so many of us, unless you're on the front lines, all we have is time right now. And so it's a really great opportunity to not only keep yourself busy, but also accomplish your goals in this time.
Definitely. Yeah, that's such a good point. Cool. So I think we have a bit of time at the end for some of the audience to ask some questions, if that's okay with
Sure.
you, Michaela.
Yeah, that'd be good.
I saw a great one that come up. How many followers do you think you should have before you make merchandise?
That is such a good question. And that's something that I asked myself when I started. I think it also depends on how engaged your audience is, and how much they communicate with you, because some creators, they just make merch to make merch, or they post YouTube videos to post YouTube videos. And so I think it also depends on how engaged your audience is and how involved they are and want to be to support you. And for me, my audience just started asking for it, and they wanted some materialistic way to support me, which I thought was really cool. And so I think it's also just being in tune with your audience. I don't think there's a set number of followers, at least from my perspective, to say when you should or shouldn't start creating merch. And I also think it's important to put time and thought into what you're creating instead of just putting it out there, to have merch, because the more effort and thought you put into it, the more successful it will be. So I don't think there's a set number. I think it depends on the engagement of your audience, and also, like I said, for me, they just started asking, and so I listened and I started putting it out there. So I think it's just important to be in tune with your audience.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's really, really good advice. Like I don't think you necessarily need to have millions and millions of followers to be able to create merch. Like if you want, that's what's easy about Teespring is anyone can get started and it doesn't
Yeah,
cost anything for them to get started as well. So I
yeah,
think,
that's what I was gonna say too. It's really,
yeah, if you wanted to like just even like test it out and see how it goes, um, I think it's a really good way to do that because you're not losing anything. You're just testing it
yeah,
out and
there's
see
like
how
no
it goes.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And what would you? I think I saw another good one. What is your favorite piece of merch so far we've created?
Probably my latest scoliosis merch, because it has a lot of meaning to me, and the support that I've gotten from that has been really great. And even though my followers can't be here physically or I can't talk to them physically necessarily through this, I think they understand the magnitude that this is going to have on my life, because I've shared so much and so many of them have physical challenges as well. So they understand that from some magnitude. And so I think that this is going to represent a huge change that's going to be happening in my life. And it's really cool to see it going around like all around the world. My small design. So that's been really great.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like one of my favorite things about Teespring and merch is the connection that you're able to like create between yourself and your followers by
Yes,
like with the merch. It's something tangible that they've almost got like a part of your channel or a part of you.
yeah.
So I always feel like that's a really nice thought.
Yeah, and like you said, like it's tangible. Like anybody can like an Instagram post or a YouTube
Yeah,
video or comment, but it's something tangible, so it goes beyond the screen.
yeah, definitely. And I've seen a good question come up here. Not so much related to merch, but they asked how much impact on other people do you think you've had, like in terms of talking about your disability, and have people like reached out to you and to thank you and that kind of
Yes,
thing?
and so that I just received a message this morning actually, from a person. They said that they have horrible thoughts about themselves. They were bullied all the time in school. They were really struggling in their life. And they told me straight out that I've changed their life, through sharing my perspectives. And I think for at least a lot of creators or just average people, they think that it's, I'm used to those kind of messages because I receive them a lot. But for me, it's like it doesn't fit in my head that I'm able to have that much of an impact, just by sharing my story. And it means more than I'll ever be able to convey to them. And so that's what makes all the hard work so rewarding. And it's just the amount of messages that I receive every day is very humbling. And the fact that people take time out of their day to thank me, or to communicate with me in that way, is really great because I don't expect thanks. I don't expect recognition for what I do, because it's just something that I love, and so it's just very rewarding.
Yeah, it's so inspiring to hear the perspective of a creator, really, because obviously I'm not a creator. I'm kind of like, I do create content, so
Yeah,
I know how like much time and effort goes into creating content.
yeah,
But it's just so inspiring to hear about, the connection that you've been able to make with your audience. So, okay, cool. I think we're coming towards the end. But thank you to everyone who sent in a question.
yeah. Thank
And
you.
yeah, thank you to Michaela, you've had like the best answers.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. This has been fun. I love you guys at Teespring, and it's been really fun to connect with you guys.
Yeah, definitely. And just a quick note at the end, I'll make sure to link the blog post that we wrote about Michaela if anyone wants to learn more about her and her story. And I'll also link to some of our resources on the training center as well, which gives a bit more like in-depth advice on how to do different things. So as well, this live stream, we'll put it on our stories and it will be available for 24 hours afterwards. And then we will be uploading it to IGTV next week as well. So
Awesome.
yeah, and everyone keep your eyes peeled. We'll be doing more episodes with different creators in the next coming weeks as well. So I want to say a massive thank you to Michaela for joining us today. I really loved hearing about your story and like how you've created your inspiring community. So thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
No worries. And also, whenever your surgery does happen, a big good luck to you for that too.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you to everyone who's been watching today. See you soon and have a great day, everyone.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
guys.